The story begins by showing Shun Asanaga, whose mother is a retired archaeologist. As a result, he has become fascinated with crystals and stones alike. Shun goes to his father's office because he missed his own birthday party, but instead of his father, he finds a crystal imprisoned in a glass casing as if protected. He's attracted by the crystal, so he opens the case to take it out and examine it closely. The gem begins to glow in his hand and its hue surrounds him, seemingly pouring into his chest. In an instant, the crystal forms a portal directly in front of him in which he can see a world. He reaches his hand to touch it. His hand vanishes into the vortex and he steps through it with his full body, falling into another world. A doorway forms in front of Emilio, a prince who is imprisoned by his father, the king, and Shun falls out, stunning Emilio. Emilio tried to kill the monarch in his sleep, but he failed since the king awoke mid-execution to defeat him and imprison him. That is how he came to meet Shun. When Emilio inquires about Shun, who has no knowledge how he ended up going through a portal into another world, Shun replies that he has no idea. While they argue in the jail guards hear Shun's loud falling and approach to investigate. Shun's chest flashes a light blue as they approach, and a weapon known as a warp relic manifests. He draws his sword and slashes at the guards, killing them and breaching the jail bars. Emilio and Shun depart from the castle after escaping from the prison. While they going, Emilio explains to Shun where he is, Endra, a world deep beneath the ground. They are shortly met by Ibelda, a Zuzian, an animal humanoid. Ibelda attacks them after Emilio recognizes him as a guard to the king's throne. They are both fighting back. When Emilio's warp relic is snatched and disappeared, Shun supports him, but the Zuzian proves too powerful for them. He tosses them both into the sea, effectively ending the struggle. After walking and meeting Emilio's friend Alicia and her adorable baby dragon, the two arrive to a glimpse of Endora's world, where Shun notices that the sun is a big crystal in the sky. Emilio leads the route to where he wants to go in order to escape his father and guards. They are attacked by a wild boar while walking. Villian, Alicia's small dragon, grows in size and defends the trio against the boar. When the boar throws Villian to the side, Emilio tries to aid but is powerless against the beast. Shun and Alicia, who are watching from the side, are charged by the boar. Shun's warp relic appears as the danger approaches and he fights the boar. But as they try to defend, Shun and Alicia get trapped inside a net booby trap that was set right under their feet. Emilio stands ready to fight the boar again. As it comes running toward him, he presses something that activates another booby trap with his foot. It kills the boar and the three are saved. A man whom both Emilio and Alicia know and refer to as Pascal appears. He takes them inside and cooks the boar they had just killed and feeds them. He later explains to Shun about the world of Endra and how he can get out as that's his goal. The royal guards finally reach their tracks and start attacking Pascal's place. Pascal, along with the trio, get into his flying device and they escape unscathed to another hiding. They hide there for the night while discussing the mystery of Shun's appearance from the surface, which is what they call Earth. Later, when Pascal has gone to buy some groceries and Alicia is out, Emilio tells Shun about his plan to kill the king for killing his biological father. They go hunting where they discuss how Emilio is going to find a resistance group to help him kill the king, and when they will do this. At night while Alicia sleeps, Emilio wakes Shun up and they prepare to leave as planned. Emilio takes Shun to a cliff where they see a camp set up by the resistance group, and while they talk about who these people are, they are confronted by the group introducing them as reinforcements called Ignots. Emilio asks to team up with them for the purpose of killing their common enemy. The leader of the group, Demetrio, leads the two into their camp base and tells them that he can't help them as Emilio has no plan past killing the king. He calls him a fool and Emilio becomes angry. He summons his warp relic to fight Demetrio. He charges at Demetrio, but Demetrio blocks his attack with his normal blade as he has no warp relic. When Shun sees Emilio down and cornered by Demetrio, he summons his wrap relic and tries to defend him. Demetrio throws his blade, which is attached by a rope to another blade, at Shun, tying his leg and hoisting him up a tree. He iterates the fact that he won't help Emilio with his revenge, but Shun convinces him to let Emilio prove himself worthy of the throne if he succeeds in killing the king. Emilio and Shun follow Demetrio to join the resistance. Another member of the Ignots, Felix, takes Shun and Emilio, who are always arguing if left alone, to do laundry. More members join them to work and Shun makes conversation with Eldria, a seer member of the Ignots, who falls into the water while trying to prove his talents to Shun. When he is brought out and awakened, he tells them that he saw Shun in front of skyscrapers, making him happy that he will go back home. Later, Emilio and Shun are alone talking, but soon start to argue about Emilio's cold disposition and paranoia. This ticks Emilio off, and he summons his warp relic. Shun gladly accepts the challenge, and he brings out his warp relic too, but they both throw them down to fight like men with fists until they knock each other out cold. The group wakes them up so they can go ahead and discuss a way forward with their plan to kill the king and get Shun back home. They realize that they don't have an army and the kingdom does, so they plan to approach the citizens of Endra who would agree to rebel against the king. They set to approach the Zusians who have been forced to slave away their days in peasant jobs even when they have proved to be of better use. As this had happened for years and years, it affected generations, and a change in the kingdom's ruler would entice them to join a rebel group. After the meeting and discussions, Shun and Emilio are left alone in their huts while they are still bitter at each other, so Shun decides to go look for Eldria to ask about the future he saw. He tries to get Eldria to see a glimpse of the future again by trying to trick him into hurting himself, as that is usually the condition to meet for him to see a vision. Eldria returns the trick to Shun by leading him on a wild goose chase of a bird that doesn't even exist. Shun runs into an ambush of the royal guard. Abelda confronts him while the other members are approaching the Ignots. Shun and Abelda fight each other, but Shun can't seem to defeat him. He is thrown to the ground, and before Abelda can cut him with his warp relic, Emilio comes running to defend him. And together, they raise their weapons to defeat Abelda. Shun's warp relic evolves, enabling him and Emilio to get to strike Abelda that wounds him and causes him to run away. So, they run away too, hoping to get away from the danger, only to meet Alicia, who is mad as hell, accompanied by Pascal. The Ignots come to meet with Emilio and Shun after they had fled the scene, and they get to meet Pascal and Alicia, but don't trust them immediately. They head back to the base camp. Later, Pascal has a talk with Emilio where he tells him that he doesn't approve of his intentions, no matter his justifications. After the two groups split, and for a little while, they head separate ways until they meet again. Shun goes to the Resistance to tell them about his way out through Babylon. For the night, they go to patrol as they prepare to head out and begin their journey to a large alliance, kill the king, and send Shun back to the surface. They move out. They arrive at Port Town and get a place to rest for the night. They decide to visit the shops and markets. While they are walking, a random kid steals Emilio's dagger and runs away. They run after the kid and get the dagger back in exchange of some food from Alicia, who sympathizes with the kids. After playing with the children, they go back to their accommodations but are attacked on their way. The culprit appears to be a little girl. Emilio and Shun put away their warp relics when they see that it's a little girl. Emilio approaches the girl and she attacks him. They again summon their weapons to attack back. Shun charges the girl but can't seem to cut her, so she blasts him away with her explosives warp relics. When he's down, she then attacks Emilio, who gets protection from Eldria's shielding cloth warp relic. Demetrio comes to the rescue and fights the girl. She's fast and precise, but he gives her a hard time and finally apprehends her and cuts off her manipulating device that she was wearing on her neck. Eldria explains her history as an assassin, and they decide to take her back with them. They finally board the ship to cross the sea with the aim to head to the island of the Zusians. The Zusians appear ready to fight the intruders. Demetrio steps forward, demanding to speak with their chief, who only holds them captive and leads them to where he lives. They start negotiations for their plan to succeed, but the Zusian chief refuses their word, as it is only a word. He instead wants to take Demetrio's life to prove that he is indeed faithful to his cause and not after power. Demetrio agrees despite his group refusing for his life to be taken. They offer up theirs and try to sway the chief's decision. The chief agrees to take Demetrio's life and orders for one of his guards to slay him, but the guard is stopped by Louise's warp relic, the only female member of the Ignots who is also half Zusian and is not held hostage. When many of the Zusian guards sees that the group is rebelling, they suggest that they kill them all, but the chief roars very loudly to stop the commotion. He stops his own men and takes Demetrio to talk inside. They talk and reach an agreement where the chief will let his men join the revolution and try to follow Demetrio's ideals. The Zusians help the group with the ship and supplies as theirs crash when they arrived. They leave the island and get back to their journey. The next step to their journey is climbing a freezing mountain, but soon they are hit with a blizzard and are forced to stop. They set up camp to prevent freezing and resume their journey the next day. While walking, they see giant footprints of a dragon and Eldria falls through one of them. The group make a way, go after him and get him back. They hear loud giant footsteps from a white dragon that breathes ice instead of fire. It keeps attacking them and breathing ice on them. Demetrio tells them to run away as fighting the dragon would only kill them. They try to run but are cornered by another dragon. Shun and Emilio shield Alice as the ice dragon tries to breathe its ice. Villian leaves Alicia's hands and starts to glow, grow, and change color. When the ice dragon breathes ice, Villian counters it with fire. Eldria gets the dragons to calm down after Alicia talks to Villian, who is her father, who got trapped in his warp relic as it evolved and became a living thing. They leave the pit and continue their journey, but sees the long way that they still need to walk. The ice dragons arrive and offer them a lift across the cold mountains. The dragons leave them halfway through their journey, and they set camps to rest a while. Shun wakes up in the morning to find that the revolution is slowly gaining numbers from different regions as reported by Demetrio and another comrade. The news soon travels around the group and everyone is happy to hear that, including Emilio, who is the only one actually out to kill the king and not just try to convince him of a better civilization. When Shun hears that Emilio hasn't changed his mind about his intentions, he gets mad and punches him on the face. Emilio does nothing but stays down. When they are in the carriage that heads straight for Babylon, Emilio apologizes to Shun for saying terrible things and Shun also apologizes for hitting him. After reaching Babylon, they walk until they reach the Four Towers. Eldria then explains what Babylon is and when it started. He shows the entrance that will take them to Babel, the place where the king is and where the portal leading to the surface is. They enter the tower but are stopped by a dead end. Felix realizes that they have to climb the wall for them to make it on top and continue from there. They do just that, with the last to climb on top being Shun and Emilio. While climbing, Emilio loses his step and falls, but Shun quickly grabs his hand and pulls him up, saving his life. The second step to climbing up the wall is to climb down on the other side. The whole of the group, with the exception of Emilio and Demetrio, do just that. Demetrio lets Emilio know that he doesn't intend to kill the king. Emilio tries to convince him that his strategy won't work as the king is not a reasonable man. Demetrio explains his side and asks for a reason why Emilian is so eager to kill Delsheim, the king. He explains that it is to avenge his father whom Delsheim killed. After their talk, they head down to continue to the entrance with the rest of the group. They enter through a maze and head for Babel. Shun realizes that he made a promise to Emilio to help him kill his father and doesn't want to go back on his word. Now that he was heading for Babel, he would leave and never fulfill that promise. The others find the entrance to Babel before Emilio can respond to Shun's question about his intention to kill his father, but they are ambushed by the king's guard. The two sides fight and the king's men are nearly defeated. Ibeldad, who is fighting both Shun and Emilio, is still too powerful for them both. Even after his warp relic evolves, Emilio's main goal is to enter Babel and kill the king, so he abandons the fight and heads for the portal relic. Eldria prevents Ibeldad from pursuing Shun and Alicia. Louise uses her warp relic to strike Eldria's blanket shield, revealing herself as a traitor to the revolution. Emilio eventually arrives in Babel, where he encounters his father and attempts to stop him. He calls forth his warp relic and charges him. His father does not hold back either, summoning his own warp relic and engaging in combat with his son. Shun finally gets to Babel and tries to stop Emilio after getting up after being pushed down by Emilian. The gates leading to the surface soon open for King Delsheim, but Emilio does not want him to escape, so he continues to strike while the king blocks. Shun interrupts the fight to ask Delsheim if he considers Emilio his son and why he murdered Emilio's father. Delsheim stores his warp relic and prepares to respond to the question. However, Ibeldad appears to be continuing his battle with Emilio and Shun. Delsheim tells him to stop, but because he no longer obeys the king, he charges at him and kills him. When Shun and Emilio try to defend themselves, Ibeldad decides to block for the first time and enters the portal to return to the surface. Shun realizes that his one chance to leave has vanished right in front of him as the portal closes. While crying for his father, Emilio realizes that he may have been wrong about the father he despised for years, and the anime ends here. Make sure to like and subscribe if you liked it. See you in the next video, take care, and goodbye.